Today, we're honouring the work of changemaker and system thinker, Manuela Pastore. Hi, Manuela.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi.
Thank you for this
welcome.
invitation.
Manuela, in the context of honouring your work, what would you love people listening to this to know about you?
Well, in this conversation, first of all, I would like if people say, this is something that interests to me, that gives me some new perspectives. And maybe also that I can share something that not everyone has a chance to experience every day, you know, because normally we live in our own world. We have so many dependencies because we have very specific jobs. And I was very lucky that I had a chance in all my life to experience a lot of different cultures, people, different social backgrounds. So I hope that I can add some value to that and give them also some different ideas of what normally they see and experience. So, and sharing this will already, be a big joy, a great joy for me as well.
Yeah, great. I feel the same, actually. Such a privilege. But okay, so just in those experiences, talk to us about some of those broad experiences then that you've had, especially recently with Making More Health.
Yeah, so what I'm doing maybe in a few words, it's for more than 10 years now that I have started to work in an initiative that links social to business. And doing things in a different way than what normally is how you do it in business. And so I have had a chance to head an initiative called Making More Health. This is an initiative where we work with social entrepreneurs, try to help them to scale up, but at the same time also start doing our own projects in focus areas. And this is India and Kenya at the moment. And if I say focus areas, I'm referring to very rural, very poor areas, geographically limited, where really people close at the poverty line live. And the work we do there is, first of all, trying to understand what are their needs, what are the challenges day by day. We are not coming with our solutions. We are not saying, okay, you have a health issue here. We are now doing a screening program and then you get the medication voucher and then you get the medication, but really to understand more how is the whole system working and influencing that these people are at the poverty line and probably have been always at the poverty line. So why did it not change, even having had a lot of very good NGOs and there? And you know, the number of NGOs or even private people or other institutions who are doing a lot is big. And I'm not saying they are not doing good things. The problem is that they're very often just in one very specific activity and trying to roll that out. But if you ask the people first, you understand that it is a bundle of many different things that have to come together to allow them really to grow and to have conduct a different life, however this life will look at the end. So what we do with Making More Health is trying to listen first, to understand, and not to understand just the momentum or the one aspect of health, but to understand the whole system where these people live in and what it means really from their perspectives day by day to get up, to work, to pay the school fees, the health issues, and so on, till they go at the end to bed again. And we have started some projects. So we have looked at existing infrastructure, self-help groups, women groups, farmer cooperatives, and also partnered up with some local NGOs to see how can we together and based on these infrastructures develop activities, bring in different solutions, different partners as well to tackle these issues. While with a big goal, you know, I'm working for Boehringer Ingelheim, a big pharmaceutical company, while also long-term wise, maybe to to create something like a marketplace, to prepare a marketplace for people who have never been part of a market. When we talk about markets today in our Western world, we have markets in India, in Africa, in Kenya, but normally these markets never reach the poor, or they are not for the poor, they are for the middle and upper level society. And we are here working with people who have no access to these markets, and they have no knowledge about these markets. So it's also difficult to become part of the markets. Even if they would get the money, probably there's a lot of other things that have to come together to really make them able to join these markets. Business knowledge, marketing knowledge, income generation knowledge, but also the cultural development, the acceptance, and maybe the willingness. Not everyone wants to be there. So, and it's not about good or bad. It's just to really prepare something where they could build up and go in that direction if they want, which normally is not possible.
Wow. Wow. So talk to me about some of the partnerships, because there's so many questions arising from that, but talk to me some of the partnerships that you're talking about there.
Well, there are partnerships on several levels. Yeah. If you talk about partners, and you would look at it right from a business perspective, you would say, yeah, Making More House is an initiative where we have a global partner called Ashoka, really good partner. They are in social entrepreneurship. They are selecting all these social entrepreneurs, and we help them to scale. But partnering in a term or in a kind of making now these project areas I talked about to make it more sustainable, I have to work with different partners. Of course, I work also with the social entrepreneurs, and I bring them in where it makes sense. But first of all, you need partnerships on the ground, partnerships with the communities. Build trust. This is the very, very essential. So I see them as partners and not as people I bring some food to or some water to. So, but it's really an equal system understanding, but it's also a learning for me, and I gain also a lot of wins out of that. Yeah. Then partnering, of course, with local stakeholders who have, let's say, local influencers. Yeah. The local panchayat, the local administration, the local government, let's say, plays a very important role. You cannot do things without them. Even when you start planning, you should, right at the beginning, all these partners, you should bring in and try to give them ownership as well. And whether it's now on a political level with the government or on a community level, to get more acceptance. And then there's a partnership also, let's say, with local hospitals, with doctors who help also to run trainings together, because what can we do? I mean, we can initiate programs, maybe also our employees can teach, but we don't stay there always. So we come there for training sessions, be it virtual or be it in person, but at the end we will go back. And if we were not able to connect the tribal doctors or the local doctors, let's say, with the communities who can take this up day by day, then definitely we would not have been done it in the right way. So it's also about partnering when it comes to health with healthcare professionals, local ones. When it's about education, to partner with school directors and school teachers. When it comes to social projects, generally, to partner with the NGOs. And I think this is very important to make it accepted and really sustainable in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an amazing web, for want of a better word, that you've created here. The kind of the combination of all these different partnerships. Where did this come from inside of you, Manuela? Where did you learn how to do this work?
Yeah, this is a good question, and I think it has to do with my own biography. My parents, they have not been very rich, so I come from a background where, let's say, I met a lot of different people, also with economic issues or workers surrounding, let's say, and I got the first clash, I can say, when I entered then the upper school. Yeah, and you realize, okay, there's people in the world, they have a completely different background. They have traveled to New York, and I don't know, they had so many opportunities to do things, and we had not. And then my next step was also, I had a long teaching careers that started already at the university. And I did studies, very strange studies, I would say, because I did not go for the typical career making studies, but I studied culture and literature for Italian and for Spanish. And I was always very interested in history, in understanding not the small events, but the patterns. The patterns of movement, of ages, why certain nations grew and then they came down again, and what were the why. So, and during these studies, I got a chance to teach. I was 21 years old, and when I worked in a university in front, and it was a university for adults where they could do some studies. You know, it's a very, I'm not sure if this is in UK as well, but in Germany we have there a very large system. And with 20 years, you stay in front of a classroom with people who have the double age of your own, 40, 50, 60 years old. And then they come to you and say, oh, sorry, but I could not do my homework. Yeah. Oh, what is this now? What's happening here? Yeah. So I got a lot of understanding, I would say, about hidden rules, hidden roles, hierarchy thinking, psychological. Psychologically, also I learned a lot on how to get their buy-in, yeah, and also to come up even if they had not done the homework, because at the end, this did not make a difference. So it was a continuous, and from there I really observed how elderly, from my perspective, how they reacted, what they did. And I found it very interesting. And for me, some things became very clear. I did not want, right at a very early age, I decided I do not want to do that. When I'm 50 years old, or if I'm 70 years old, I want to have a different look back to that. Yeah. And I started also to train migrants with the German language. Yeah. So this was another experience where you got the cultural perspectives. So let's say some Turkish farmer who had very big difficulties to write the letters. Yeah. Aside to someone who had a university degree from Spain, and then just try to teach them. Yeah. And maybe you have not even one language in common. So you learn also to break things down, to make it very, very simple. Yeah. If you talk about a cow and they don't understand the word cow, and I don't know Turkish and all the other things, then you just woo. Yeah. It's like that. That you have to be very creative in that. Yeah, later on, I had my Italian experience. Yeah, 20 years, because my husband, my ex-husband, I have to say, we had 20 years together, very nice years, and we are still friends, but 20 years were enough. It was very exciting years because getting into a culture really as a part of a family is different from reading books about a culture and traveling very often to the country. Yeah. Yeah. And it's small things that change. For example, I remember my mother-in-law, and I stayed there in summer, and she said, "Oh, you are ill." And I said, "No, why?" "You're sitting for 2 hours now there reading a book." And I said, no, but I'm fine. I'm just reading a book. And she said, "No, come with us. Let's talk a little bit." You know, the Italian guys, the community thinking, the family is very, very important. So the way I was used to have my let's say I call it freedom, but also it's my my way to have my half an hour for myself and just to sit and think and do my, this is very strange for them. Yeah, it feels okay, you leave the community, or she's ill, or she does not like us. And this, all these experiences helped me a lot when I started then to work, let's say, in India and Kenya, because these are community-driven worlds and family-driven worlds.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Germany and the northern parts, we are the countries of freedom. We are not the countries of love, as someone said before. Yeah, which does not mean that we have no love. This is not what I want to say, but
Yeah.
for us, the freedom, the importance of realizing yourself, of getting the best out of something for you is very important. Meanwhile, in all these other countries like Italy, south of Italy especially, but also India, Kenya, it's about communities. It's about, I'm only fine if my family is fine. Yeah? If my community is fine. It's not the money I earn, it's not my money, but it's my family's money. And then as a family, we sit together and we decide who's getting which money. And it's not, you would maybe say, and shout out, would say, hey, this is the money I gained.
Yeah.
They will never do that. They will say, okay, it's nice, we have gained that, and now we have to see how to organize it in the best way. And you have to understand these kind of ways to think differently, to really understand the culture. And I'm not saying I have fully understood all these cultures, but at least there are the knowledge that they might have completely different ideas about that.
Yeah.
I cannot take it as a given and build on that.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Yeah. So many different ways of getting in contact with many different people with different backgrounds, different nations, different cultures. I think this was my big journey that helped me a lot to become this kind of system thinker on how you announced that.
And I see it. So I see it in the way that you connect so deeply and so richly with each of the communities and individuals, and that you work with in India, in Kenya, the way you care so deeply about all of them is amazing. But then the other bit, so I can really see that bit, that when you describe how that came to you. But the other bit about being able to see the whole system, to be able to see health as not just health, but wealth, belonging, education, nutrition, hygiene, and provision. And it's all those things that you see, say in India or in Kenya. Where did you get that thinking from? Where did that come from? Because you've got a unique skill in being able to look at a system and go there, kind of, rather than there. Where did that come from? Is it from your history and teaching as well, or did you learn?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe it has to do, of course, with my studies. Yeah. And really a kind of training to understand, not just to bring a small event in relationship to a bigger movement. Yeah? I mean, if you talk, for example, about the different art ages, or it's not that you say from in 1815 this and this started, but it is something that afterwards was defined as something. But there was a lot of different small events also in the history of wars, or the history of women, or whatever. Many small events that, if you put them together, characterized a certain movement and a certain system. And definitely my history studies, they pushed me to see that. So I remember I had to do a very, very deep research on a very small town in Germany here close by, on how they started to do the first money, for example. But then you had to bring it back to the whole economic development in Germany over a period of 100 years, for example.
Yeah.
And I love this. This was what I loved about history, for example, as well. I think it has to do a little bit also with my personality, with my, but of course, the studies. And then it might be also that I had to adapt a lot in my life, and to be very agile. agile because of my family background, and then going a different or taking a different way, yeah, than the rest of the family at that time. And maybe then also being a little crazy to get married to an Italian, you had to adapt again, yeah. And you cannot adapt if you are not able to. I mean, if you look only at details and you go too deep into that, you stuck there, then you have a lot of problems, a lot of challenges that you cannot overcome. You need this ability to say sometimes, come on, okay, we do this like that, but the whole thing has to go in the right direction. And I think this is also something that in this we have to learn again, because here I come back to my history. So if you look at the history in the up to the 18th century, 19th century maybe, we had very clear system structures. We had hierarchical structures. You were born as a farmer and you ended up as a farmer. And if you were, I don't know, one of these noble people, then you had certain studies you had to do, the 7 artes liberales. I don't know but the studies were also fixed. And then came the industrialization, and with the industrialization, we got also the freedom politically and the democracy to develop, which gives us freedom, and gives us also the freedom to go into details more and more and more. So we, for many good reasons, we have nowadays a lot of experts. I mean, if you just look at the medicine, you can spend 50 years just in one laboratory working in one specific part of the medicine. Or if I'm always, my children, when they ask me, Mom, what should we do? I was also overwhelmed, because if you look what people can study nowadays at the universities, it's crazy. Yeah. So it's very difficult today to take decisions, because it's definitely too much or too many. And secondly, once we have taken a decision, we tend to go into details, and even more into details, to become expert of the experts. And while doing so, we lose automatically the big overview. And this means we don't connect the things anymore. And if we don't connect the things anymore, we can just decide from our own perspectives, which from the own perspectives is very often right. But it's not helpful to see and to help the whole as a whole, the system. And this is what happens exactly, I think, for example, in this developmental world, where you have hundreds of NGOs or of also governmental institutions, which per se do a lot of good things, but they don't connect to each other. And they don't connect it with the people or for the people on the ground. And the single individual, they don't know what to do with it. So I'm asking, who's building the system today? This is my big question. Because if I ask a company or an NGO, and I'm not just referring to Boehringer, many times they say, but Manuela, this has nothing to do with Boehringer, or this has nothing to do with our NGO, because we are in children education, for example, only. But and so these people who would have, let's say, the power, the network, the expertise, normally they are limited by the organizational structures themselves where they are working for. And they would not build a system. And the government is not doing this neither, because the governments, and you see it with the COVID crisis, where do the solutions come from? They come from the private industry. When you look at the vaccines, it's not the government anymore who steered that process. They try to help where it can. So the question is also for me today, if it's not the industry, of course, together with others, to build really the big picture, who has the power to do it? And then we need change makers, because in the industries, in the single organizations, normally people are trained just to deliver what they have learned, what they have studied, the role, the job description. This is what they have to fulfill. No one says you have to save the world. They say you have to be a good marketeer, or Manuela, you have to be a good leader for making more house and do some health projects. But I feel we have all the responsibility to go beyond that, beyond our own borders, our own company, and really to think why we are here. I mean, why I'm here. I'm here and I have a responsibility not just for my employer, but most of all for the planet, for my children, for the world. And therefore I have to do that this extra mile somehow.
Yeah, I get that. So that, and now we're kind of moving towards your purpose in your work. And just talk to me a bit more about that then. Why do you do this? Why do you do it really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I started already somehow to explain that, and I cannot tell you where this energy comes from. I don't know. Yeah. I cannot tell you definitely this is the thing that drives me to do that.
Yeah.
But there is something inside that tells me, okay, we have so many different issues, challenges in the world. I cannot just switch it off and do what in a job description or somewhere is telling me what I have to do. I have to do this because of gaining some money, and that's fine. But I have also another responsibility. And a responsibility is higher than anything else. And this is to find or to collaborate to find solutions. If you look, for example, at the different challenges we have, like hunger. We have, I don't know how many children die every minute because of diarrhea or whatever. We have the demographic developments. We know at the moment that the number of children, for example, in Kenya, they have 10 children. And there's 3/4 is below 25 years, the same in India. These people need food, they need jobs, they need so much in the next years. We see the migrants coming from Africa, for example. I mean, they're not coming because they enjoy that. They do that because the challenges there, the climate change is big. Yeah, they find they don't have income opportunities anymore. We have on the other side technology, what we would rate. I mean, it's interesting because we rate some of these trends very negative. Yeah, because probably they have an impact on us as Europeans. And mean that we have to adapt or to change. And then we have some other trends that automatically we rate very positive, like digitalization, artificial intelligence. And we say, that's great, this will change the world, which, by the way, is also, I would say, partly true, not completely true. Again, here, putting it all together and to see how is now the migration interlinked with the demographic development and with the technology, and what can I do about that? This would or should be the topics we should discuss and more invest in. And so it's always about this interlinkage. I'm not saying I'm the big expert in technology or the big expert in how to solve the hunger issue, but I'm the one who pushes to bring these different bits and bytes together to make more out of that. Because also on the ground, you can give the people a digital device. You can also pay them the internet flat. Maybe you find out that they are not able to pay the internet flat, and nevertheless, they won't be able really to do something positive out of it. Even the device itself is a benefit. But what they need is also to have the right knowledge. Maybe you have some cultural issues that maybe it's more the men using the devices than the women. And then I have to do some more cultural work and awareness as well. I have to show them the benefits. Automatically, people, if they have never seen that, never experienced it, they would not go for that. I mean, maybe you also remember at the beginning when we had our digital devices, and even sometimes now, and I've worked as an internet specialist for 10 years also. But even being that, sometimes I say, oh, where can I find this information? And then someone says, oh, you just have to Google. Yeah, small things like, oh, who knows how old this actor is? Yeah. And at this moment, you don't have the idea that you could go to your device and consider the internet as an information giver. So now just imagine you talk to a woman who has always lived in a small hut in an African country. And her doing was completely power away from digital. Even having this digital device, you would not automatically have right from the beginning the idea to go there. This is a whole always that we have to see.
So talk to me about some of the things that you're most proud of, and maybe if you struggle with that a little bit, talk to me about what you know has been achieved, so.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think this is a good question. What I'm proud of. Maybe I'm very proud that I have always been strong enough to follow up what started to grow in my mind.
Good.
Because I believe that many people have similar ideas. I'm not proud of my ideas themselves. I'm proud of being able to have put them in action. And there's a very interesting thing, and I share it only with you now, Jeremy, and
the world that's listening to
and the world maybe later on. So you see here a ring. I wear this ring now 40 years. So, and I don't remember even the situation, but I went. I was in the city and just doing a little bit of shopping, and I bought this ring as a symbol for myself. And if you're 16 years old, so I'm 56. But at the age of 16, you do sometimes strange things. And I was thinking, in my life, I want to do something I'm proud of at the end. And I want to make it visible. And I bought this ring. And then for me, it was a big thing. Till today, I never put it off. Never, ever. And it's for me like a symbol that reminds me if things become difficult, that I have some basic values in my life. To achieve that at the age of 70, 80, I can look back and say, yes, you have done it. Whether it's right or wrong, but you have done it. And now I'm proud of this ring. And I'm proud when I say, for example, I never automatically did what people expected me to do. For example, it started with my strange studies, but my parents, I'm really grateful for that. They told me, okay, if you want to do these studies, we don't know what you will do with that, but do that. Or when after a while, I was teaching at that time, but I had small children, and I needed also not just a freelancer job. I needed something to pay off also, the rent of the house. And I found a job at the reception desk of Boehringer. And many people said, how is it possible, you being a teacher, having done an excellent degree, master's degree, whatever, and now you start working at the reception desk? And I said, look, because this is what now fits to my life in this moment. I just need to earn some additional money, and maybe I can get some interest experience from that. I can continue with my teaching. I just went for that. And out of that, so many opportunities have developed up to the point that now I'm in the position and I have all these possibilities to travel, to having had all these online communication experiences many years, and then becoming the global lead for the Making More Health initiative, being able to set up the projects. All this came out of the decision just to start working at the reception desk. And this is very often what people, I think, they underestimate a little bit, because it's out of the box. It's not what normally should come now. And I think I'm proud of this ability sometimes to just go ahead, because I think, no, it's right. And I do that.
Yeah,
and then proud maybe also of taking the opportunities when they come. I'm very curious, I have to say, curious to find out what's beyond what I'm doing. So I'm really interested in experiencing new things, learnings, without taking even too much risk. But if I don't leave my own comfort zone, I would not have been there where I am. So I'm proud of having the strength of doing these things, definitely, even if it does not seem to be the normal way of doing. So people sometimes call it also, you're a little bit chaotic. And I said, yeah, might be, but without that, it would not be me. So, yeah.
And it's interesting as I listen to you, I think, even, I mean, you and I have known each other, what, 5, 6, 7 years maybe, and some of this is so new to me as well. It's really interesting. I mean, not what you're proud of, but I'm also interested in all of the achievements. So it's a sort of, and we could go on about them. In fact, we've got to be a bit careful about time, because we're going to run out of people listening to this. Yeah. But what, you know, the fact that in that local primary care area, the children over 5 years, 5,000 open cases of child malnutrition 5 years ago, and only 34 open cases the last time we were there together, and all of that, knowing that making more health and you made a fundamental impact on that. The growth in the people that we know together in the 5 years, that watching some of the people we know have grown so much in their self-confidence and the way they relate to each other, the partnerships that have been created as a result of you introducing people to each other that now rely on each other. There are so many of these things that I guess I've seen sitting outside of it slightly, that you could also be incredibly proud of. So, and then also the fact that so many people, leaders in BI, have been on the insights weeks that you created, and have come away, ambassadors for making more health in the organization, but also thinking differently in the organization. So there's a whole bucket of things that I notice you haven't mentioned that you probably could be proud of as well. Sorry, I know this is about interviewing you, but these things need to be said as well, I think. We probably should be careful of time, because they say the maximum is 25 minutes, and I think we've been going at least almost 40 minutes.
Oh my God. Well, you're always asking these really good questions.
Before we close this, though, and maybe we could do another one, actually. I would love to do another one, because I think there's so much more stuff. But before we close this one, is there anything else now burning that you think, Jeremy, I wish we'd said about this, but I'd love to just talk about this as well, before we, in the context of honoring your work?
So you mean, is there any special?
Yeah, is there anything else that you kind of think, I hoped we would talk about this, or I wanted to say this as well?
Yeah, I definitely would like to maybe to share and to encourage people to discover more the opportunities on how to look at existing processes, structures, systems, and detecting new opportunities on how to link to that, and how we can share maybe better also the experience, because I think without experiencing, it's very difficult that you do that. Yeah. So this could be maybe one topic, or how to create this kind of different system structures, yeah, not the vertical ones, but or let's say we have to look into the four-dimensional world. Everyone is now going from 3-dimension to 4-dimension, or 5-dimension if you want, and to think more about which dimensions still do we have to integrate, or even to build up and to adapt in our whole thinking and doing in professional world and in governmental practices, and how can we, like with the internet, I'm always taking this example. Just think about these networks you have in mind when you talk about internet structure. So you have some hubs where things come together, but they are all interconnected. And I would like to discuss really with specialists, with people who are interested in that as well. How can this be somehow reflected and brought to, for example, developmental work that we do, or if you talk about sustainability? How can we really adapt this system to make the world or our activities in the world more sustainable beyond the company borders or beyond, these organizational structures? This is something that is very close to my heart. I really believe that this is at least a way we have a path to go, to try, because if we do the things as we have done it in the past, even scaling it up, the result will not be very different. We have to do things differently and to do different things. And to do these different things, this is what at the moment is something that is very, every day is in my mind. And when every project I do, I think, what else can I do? But I would like to have really discussion and a working group around that. Not maybe a big one, but a smaller one to capture that and to do a first plan. And simplify it and start doing it. And then again, learning what works, what does not work, who else needs to be in this network. And but I'm not sure if I find these people. I hope so.
Well, this could be, I mean, if this ever gets kind of further, this could be part of that invitation to those people that are really excited by what you've got to say, that might come and want to work with you again, and I mean, strongly recommended, of course, for myself. And I'm interested in, I suppose, in a way, all of the people that have worked with you, and there are so many of them, but that have contributed to this in just such phenomenal ways. Silverage and Shibu, Cleophas, Chris, Chrysanthus, all these, and I'm only just mentioning a couple, Nagaratnam, for example, all of these people that have contributed to, and my brain just wants to go Jisha and
anyway, we have to do that, Jeremy.
But there's all these people that have contributed to this work alongside you, that you've inspired, engaged. And it does occur to me right now as I listen to you that as the world becomes more specialist, as the world becomes more focused, as each of the entities in the world becomes more focused, the system thinkers, the change makers, become even more critical in bringing them together again and keeping them, as you said, interconnected while they form hubs in a way to do good work. And now it feels more than any time in our whole existence, it feels so critical that we do this. So
I mean, if we won't be able to build this new interconnected world again, I mean, we come from a very connected world to a very free world, with, as I mentioned, all these experts, but also a lot of isolation, a lot of good and positive, good and negative things. But now I feel it's coming really, and you can read it also somewhere. It's in the ages, in the social ages, we have to socialize again. And now with this expertise that we bring in, because we have come from, let's say, the dark Middle Ages, now with a lot of knowledges, with a lot of good technologies, but not interlinked. Now we have to build this holy picture again of the world. We have to find our common vision. What do we want to do with this world? Where do we want to end up? Not just with the climate, not just with the hunger, not just with the migration, but we need something that is even higher, and a kind of umbrella bringing this all together. And how does it work? I mean, how do we communicate with each other? How do we design this picture of the world of tomorrow without using buzzwords, and really doing it and learning, and not just writing papers on that?
Really doing it rather than just talking about it, which I know one of your mentors. Manuela, I think we should close it now, if that's okay with you. Thank you so much. I found that, even though I know you, so inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you so much to you, Jeremy. I really liked it as well. Talking about it is, by the way, always for me a way where I also get it clear in my head.
Yeah, good.
Very often you just feel it, but you cannot put it in words. And thank you so much also from my side for this conversation.
It's a real pleasure.